Hey everybody. I feel like it's been a while. I've been struggling with a really quite impressive ear infection in both ears. I currently have like 50% hearing on one side and like 10 on the other. It's wild. But I don't need to hear to talk, which is a problem for you and not for me. But today we're talking about number 123 in the Criterion Collection, Grey Gardens, directed by the team of David and Albert Maysles again from the previous film and from the Gimme Shelter Rolling Stones documentary. But they're joined by two new ones, Ellen Hovde and Muffy Meyer, from the United States from 1975. This is another documentary, so I'm not going to have a ton to say about it. It's really hard to dig into a documentary for me. And that's not the same as saying it's hard to enjoy. There's just, once you say what the documentary is about, you kind of run out of meat on the bone of discussion for me. I am confident there are people out there who can talk endlessly about a documentary, right? I am just one guy. I am wired one way. Anyway, uh, the documentary subject is somewhat interesting. Do you remember JFK? Do you remember his wife, Jackie Onassis Kennedy? Well, apparently there was a bit of a small scandal in the 70s because, and by the way, this alone is cute that this was considered a minor scandal considering the day and age we live in now. She had distant relatives. I think it was an aunt, and then that aunt had a daughter who lived in an estate called Grey Gardens that was basically crumbling. I mean, it was falling apart. It was dirty. It wasn't taken care of. It wasn't a hoarder situation, but it was not great. Essentially, that little corner of the family was just like running out of money and never bothered to do anything to fix that problem. And so they couldn't maintain the upkeep, but they didn't want. The kind of theme in this movie is not caring enough to take action to improve your lot. So the story was just about the horrible living conditions that they were living in, and eventually Jackie gave money to that part of the family so that they were able to fix up the house. Scandal over, right? But it was in the newspapers. It was an interesting story, and so our filmmakers decided to go and shoot a little bit of the life of these women who lived there. So it is an old woman and her daughter living in this still semi-rundown house. It's not in great condition. It was once, an estate. Now it's just kind of there, and it's. I don't even know that can be called a day in the life. It's a little bit more like an hour and a half interview with them, as they can also show them the house, just about their lives. What they do, what they did. The mother, we're going to go with mother and daughter because I don't remember their names. The mother briefly had hopes of becoming a famous singer when she was younger, and still likes to think she's got the voice. The daughter, the daughter's a little bit of a piece of work. It feels very much like these two women are in a self-imposed prison. Like, we are just going to stay here and rot away as the house does again. We're not moving. We're not doing anything. The daughter talks about the times that she got proposed to, and some of them were like millionaires because they were part of a wealthy American notable family. Excuse me, I think my arm keeps hitting the mic, so I'm sorry if you hear that. I've moved it. So, once upon a time, they were probably a catch in the right aristocratic circles of America. But not anymore. Now it's just two old women bickering at each other. And they're never going to leave. They're never going to change. It's actually kind of depressing for that. Because the whole air of this documentary is you can kind of see around the edges where there was a hope for the house and the people to have a good future, and it's gone. It's just not there. They're just running out the clock now. I don't think they would admit that. I don't think they would say that they're running out the clock, but that's what they're doing. They're just putting one foot in front of the other until they can put one foot in the grave. So it is depressing. There is not a narrative flow to this. It's over when it just ends. You see the two of them bicker occasionally, but also they get along occasionally. It's less of a mother-daughter relationship, and I don't know. It's more like a really old married couple, except without any possible like romantic sexual tension, right? Because it's a mother and daughter. But just like the state of polite bickering and like acceptance of the bickering. Like, we're going to bicker, but we both know it doesn't really mean anything and nothing's ever going to change between us. It's honestly depressing. It's a depressing film. Just watching a couple of women with depressing lives in a depressing setting be depressed. Except they don't seem to understand how depressing their circumstances are, which is probably for the best, right? If you're in a terrible situation, hopefully you don't know how terrible it is and you can live your life. But that's the film. I've already talked about this longer than I talked about Salesman, I think. Yeah, should you watch this film? Do you really love documentaries? Then sure, go ahead. Otherwise, probably give this one a miss. I mean, it's well shot, it's well made. I have no issues with the film itself, but the subject matter is not compelling and is depressing. So this was number 123 in the Criterion Collection. Now, we've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go into super detail about it, but our next video will be number 125, because 124 is a collection of films by the director Carl Theodor Dreyer from Denmark. But then 125 through 127 are those films in the collection. So we will be talking about the films individually, and we're skipping 124. And when I start 125, the next video you'll see for the Criterion Collection reviews, I will explain it again, because I assume not a lot of people are just watching every one of these videos, and people are watching the ones that appeal to them. So, you know, it's important to let people know why I'm skipping numbers. So the next three movies are directed by Carl Theodor Dreyer, who is credited as Carl T.H. Dreyer. If I call him that, it's because I forgot his name was Theodore in the future. All from Denmark. And then the movie after that is a Denmark movie called Carl T.H. Dreyer, My Mater, which from context sounds like it is going to be a documentary that another Denmark director made about Carl Theodor Dreyer and his movies. So we're going to do 3 Carl Dreyer movies, and then I think some movie about Carl Dreyer himself in some capacity. I am making assumptions. So next up, number 125 will be Day of Wrath by Carl Theodor Dreyer from Denmark from 1943. As always, when we hit a whole bunch, it is so many foreign films. Hold on. 4 Denmark, 1 France, 2 Czechoslovakian, and then United Kingdom. When we hit foreign films, the production does tend to slow down a little bit. I'm still aiming for once a week, so fingers crossed. I'm also thinking about starting a new podcast project, but that shouldn't eat into this, I don't think. Anyway, thank you, as always, for being a part of this journey with me. I appreciate every one of you who watches these videos. I'm not going to say like and subscribe. I don't make money off of YouTube. I will never make money off of YouTube. I make YouTube content because I have to create something or I go insane, right? I have to make some kind of content, and if I'm making it, I might as well share it, right? So I'm making this series mainly for me, but I'm happy to share it with any of you. So if you're watching the video, awesome. I'm so glad you're here. And that's all I'll ever need from you. And if you're not watching the video, you have no idea what I think or say about you. Ha! Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Thank you, as always.